364 abortions are committed daily in California, 17,000 across the United States weekly. Did you know 1 in 4 women have abortions? Yet 75% of them walk away from an abortion clinic like Planned Parenthood when they see people in front praying, people who care. We all love choices. We love the choice of what we're going to have for dinner, where we're going to go for a vacation, how we're going to celebrate a birthday, and whether or not to have chemotherapy, which was my choice. For the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share with you the most important choice we can make and the correct way, and to give you correct knowledge, and it'll empower your choice. God told the Israelites in Deuteronomy 15, chapter 30, verses 15 through 20, "See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction. For I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in obedience to him, to his commands, his decrees and laws. Then you will live and increase, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land you're entering to possess." So thank you for listening to this YouTube and podcast today. I want to share with you my own journey before I give you information how to empower your choice. So I was raised in a loving Catholic family and being taught against abortions. The pressure from some girls in the middle and high school still had a hard time saying no to sex. These kids had, well, we all had strong hormones, right? And but some of them struggled to listen to moms and dads. I feared my mom and dad. I didn't want to disappoint them. But pro-life values must be taught in the home. They're not taught in the schools. People used to see abortions as getting rid of a blob of cells. But with the science these days and with sonograms, we can see babies in utero. Students are desensitized to the seriousness of abortions, and a woman's right to choose is a terrible choice to choose to kill her baby. The data shows that 1 in 4 women have abortions. 50% have repeat abortions. 20 years later, in 1999, I returned to school and I took a human growth and development class at a prominent Christian university. I was shocked to hear the professor took such a neutral stance when teaching about the baby in the womb. I never heard her say baby. I always heard her say embryo and zygote. But after 4 years, God allowed me to teach that same class. And I taught that all lives matter. I taught that the baby in the womb is in fact called a baby. That conception is when the baby starts to grow. And I shared Jeremiah 29:11 that says, "I formed you in your mother's womb. The baby is intricately fashioned." So about that same time, my daughter was in 5th grade in the public school. And I received a letter asking me to sign permission to allow her to participate in a sex ed class. So she was competing with Little Miss San Dimas and dancing and modeling. She didn't need to learn about sex right now in 5th grade. So I didn't sign the letter saying that I believe it's the parent's responsibility to teach their child about sex. The principal called me, letting me know that I was the only parent who opted out of not letting my child be in this class. "Oh, well," I said. I told her I don't believe it's the school's job to teach my child about sex. So whether this principal agreed with me or not, she couldn't say. So parents have to speak up for what you believe. I had been teaching my kids my own way about sex using the idea of pollination with plants and flowers when we used to take our walks. And that's what Dr. Dobson taught me to do. So when I picked up Laura from school, I told her how proud I was of her not making a fuss and not worrying it, because she didn't get to go to the class with other people. And she was fine. She sat in the cafeteria or library or something, I can't remember, but she got to just do her homework. So she didn't care either way. In fact, 5th grade boys and girls do struggle being in sex ed classes together. I mean, think about it. It's awkward. So we went out and got an ice cream and we had a lovely day. So the Bible talks about sacrificing babies to Moloch, how it is abhorrent to God. Who is Moloch? Moloch is a false god, and people would sacrifice babies to this false god. So fast forward last year, January 2021, my church partnered with Love Life Ministry, and my husband began to serve. Me and my husband began to serve. We got informed and we pray and we meet with other people. And this is our call to action, praying in front of Planned Parenthood. 75% of the people who want to come in will turn away because they see people praying. Not to discount the power of the Holy Spirit, softening their hearts. Right now, we're in a season where they're finding abortion doctors are hard to come by. So we're praying that abortion doctors are quitting. They're not signing up to do abortions. So I'm an author and a speaker for dyslexia, but now the Lord has impressed me to write a pro-life children's book. I'm going to be a big brother. And I've never seen a pro-life children's book, but this one talks about the growth of the baby month to month in the womb. And every trimester, I talk about what the baby is feeling and what the baby does. We know that a baby's heartbeat starts at 2.5 weeks. And we also know that all the limbs, all the organs are growing by 8 weeks. It's not just a blob of tissue. So I thought this was the call to the pro-life movement that God was, spurring me to, but now he's clarifying what he wants me to do. So the problem is people don't understand abortion. They may believe in pro-life, but still support another woman's right to choose, or they believe it's their body, their choice. As a result, 1 in 4 women has an abortion, and the government consistently creates legislation to make taxpaying citizens pay for these abortions, and our schools are now the breeding ground for abortion. And it doesn't have to be that way. Whatever camp you're in, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, I'm going to share information that'll help you make an informed decision on how you're going to order your life after today. You're responsible for the information you hear today, and I hope this stirs you up to action. I'm going to use the acronym MOMMY, because when a mom says she doesn't want to be a mom because she's pregnant with a crisis pregnancy, the truth of the matter is she's pregnant. She's already a mommy. M stands for the miracle of life. God created life in the womb. So why do people think that life in the womb is a blob of cells? It's called lies from the pit of hell. The reality is more lies are being proposed to provide free health care to all and have insurances cover abortions. So we need to be involved. We need to call our state assemblymen, people, our state senators, urge them to vote no on these bills. We need to follow the vote of these candidates and vote in pro-life candidates. I wonder sometimes how a Democratic leader can say they're pro-life. Even leaders who have attended Christian universities are pro-choice, and I don't get it. God said to Jeremiah in Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you. So God has a purpose for Jeremiah, and he has a purpose for every one of us and every baby. O stands for ovaries. Conception marks the beginning of life. Mom's DNA merges with dad's DNA, and the baby has its own DNA. And it all starts in the ovaries. In Psalm 139, verses 13 to 18, David wrote, for you created me in my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame wasn't hidden from you when I was made in secret and when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. Look at this. That will not do. All the days were ordained for me were written in your book, because there's a book of life in heaven. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. So predestiny, right? We're meant to be here. Fear may come when women who profess to be Christians, but they have seen their sonograms and they see babies. 60% of the women who see a sonogram will keep their babies. They need to be referred to parenting centers like Choices or Options and know that they can actually receive prenatal and postnatal help. They can get help with food, with baby clothing and furniture in the room, and they can even be given help with housing. There are adoptive parents who can't get pregnant, parents who just want to adopt, that would love if a mommy would have her baby and let them adopt her baby. There are other choices to abortion. Churches are stepping up and they're becoming houses of refuge for these moms. Calvary Chino Hills, where I attend, is a house of refuge, and we partner with Love Life Ministries. So you can Google Love Life Ministries in North Carolina, get some information from them. Where are the Love Life Ministries in your community? Sonograms reveal that in 17 days, babies have a heartbeat. Brain waves are detected at 6 weeks. Every organ is forming at 8 weeks. And by the 8th week, a baby responds to touch. Have you ever seen the picture of the surgeon working in utero and the baby grabs his finger? M stands for mutilation and care being aborted. The abortions are being done up to full term in California. When a woman chooses to have abortion, she's choosing to exchange not being inconvenienced to murder a baby. We call this a crisis pregnancy. And don't talk to me about women who have been impregnated by incest or rape. Those are few and far between. We are using birth control. Abortion is being used as birth control. So what does the woman do? She's fearful, she's humiliated, she's scared. She needs to weigh if what she's feeling is what is stronger than what she's going to feel if she has an abortion. Is her fear, her humiliation worth the crime she'll be committing in the eyes of God? The abomination in the eyes of God? Some moms are using abortion as means of birth control, even if they are normally pro-life. The Bible talks about babies being sacrificed to Moloch, and God abhors this. Listen to the sacrifice that's happening, and brace yourself. I'm going to share some gory details. Abortion requires a tool to suck the baby out. I'm going to put that down. That's 5 to 10 weeks. Abortion requires a tool to sever the limbs of a baby to suck the baby out. Abortion requires a tool to crush a baby's head so that the baby can be extracted. A hanger has been used to puncture the baby's brain when a mother tries to do this on her own. Scissors are used to cut the baby's neck when the baby's delivered full term. Some abortion failures, the kids are left on the table to die and not given the help. 60% of women are coerced by their families to have abortions. When parents hear this information, maybe it'll change your mind. Imagine that just by praying in front of Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics, 70% of the women will turn away just because they see people who care. Last year, 125 babies were saved locally because of the people praying and who stood outside of a Planned Parenthood. And some spoke to the moms and encouraged them to keep their babies. M stands for money. Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion factory. And they allude and say that they're there for counseling, but they're not. And they take sonograms to determine the baby's size so that they can determine what kind of abortion the baby requires. They're not there to encourage the women to keep their babies. So let me talk to you about the money. The abortion pills, which women are taking up to 10 weeks, it stops the nourishment from going to the baby and it kills the baby. And then also it has contractions to expel the baby. $350 to $600. That's why so many of our young kids, high school kids, college kids are doing the abortion pill. Suction rips the fragile body, removing the parts in a tube. That's done from 5 to 14 weeks, from $320 to $600. Now, keep in mind, when a woman gets a pregnancy test, she may be up to 2 weeks off and prices will go higher. What if a woman has the abortion pill and her baby was actually 2 weeks more than they imagined? The harm that it can cause to her body, it can cause her death. So dilation and evacuation, when the baby is 15 to 24 weeks, $500 to $2,000. This dismembers the baby, removing the baby limb by limb, and the skull is crushed and removed. And remember, if there's a limb not removed in an abortion, this could harm the mother and cause her to hemorrhage and die. Third trimester abortions, 25 weeks to birth, $4,000 to $15,000. So who's getting rich when they turn out an abortion 15 minutes after another? An injection of digoxin is put into a woman's abdomen in the third trimester, which enters into the heart, painfully stops the baby's heart. The mother is dilated and the baby is delivered 2 to 4 days later. In my neighboring community, in Pomona, 40 to 50 abortions are scheduled weekly. California has 80 abortion clinics, and they're tucked away, they're hidden centers away from view. In the movie Unplanned, a previous director of Planned Parenthood shows the huge growth of the Planned Parenthood organization and the buildings that they're building elsewhere. So the morning after pill gives the baby a heart attack, and the mother suffers terribly. Unplanned reveals that when a mother goes through this experience, it shows what she goes through. And a father who drove the child to Planned Parenthood never knew that his daughter nearly died. The same company, the Planned Parenthood actually aborted a baby and the mother nearly died because she hemorrhaged in this movie Unplanned. But the movie Unplanned talks about the women who get the morning after pill, how they go home and take care of business themselves. It's really tragic. So the same company who created the poison to kill the Jews in the concentration camps is creating the morning after pill. There are 2 pills. One gives the baby the heart attack and the other expels the baby from the mother's womb when she was alone at home, either in a hotel to hide this or in her own home. In 1973, Roe versus Wade legalized abortion up to birth. The pro-life marches began way back then. 13 million abortions in California since Roe versus Wade. So we're nearing the 50th anniversary of Roe versus Wade, and we're praying that this ruling is overturned. Governor Newsom has a backup plan in the state of California to make it a sanctuary state for abortions. So you can imagine your tax dollars paying for women around the nation coming to California for an abortion. So people don't realize that Margaret Sanger started Planned Parenthood with the intention of exterminating the Black population. And Planned Parenthood is not an advisory clinic, as I've said earlier, but it's an abortion mill. They get so much money for each abortion, and abortion doctors are rich. Pastor John Amachukwa calls this genocide on the Black babies in his message called Erased, which you should look into. A retired abortion doctor recently spoke at our church, Dr. Anthony Levatino. He said he was paid $2,000 for a 15-minute abortion. If he did 4 abortions in 1 hour, do the math, $8,000 in an hour. If he worked for 5 hours, that's $45,000. I learned that OBGYN surgeons in California they want to train them to do abortions. So he is fighting against this. He told us that after removing each piece of the baby during the abortion, he would say to the mom, I defend your right to choose. I defend your right to choose. So maybe that was his own affirmation to keep him in the abortion business for over 2 decades. If you mention Planned Parenthood is a $1 billion business, and mention the people who contribute, like George Soros, Bill Gates, Buffett, you may get a mom's attention. This is exposed in the movie Unplanned. 1 in 4 women can't bear children again. They're more, okay, so E, there we go. We want to talk about E stands for the emotion. What about the emotions, the emotional trauma that mothers experience, and dads? Dads drive their women, their wives, their girlfriends to these clinics. They have trauma too. 1 in 4 mothers can't bear children again. They're more than twice as likely to commit suicide, even actually 2.6 times more likely. 60% have suicidal thoughts. 94% suffer with emotional trauma, which leads to abuse in the home. Moms are depressed for 5 to 15 years. And even now, I've been out of high school 45 years. I'm meeting alumni who still experience emotional trauma. 64% of women who have abortions profess to be Christians. So let's give them some alternatives so they can uphold their Christian values and not take a life. If someone has an abortion, God forgives them. They can be assured of seeing their baby in heaven, and the baby will be healed and whole. God loves the babies. It's all about a loving God who forgives and offers grace. But you need to know this loving God. You need to know Jesus. We all have sinned, and abortion is a very specific sin that keeps women tormented, even into their 60s and 70s and beyond. Men are affected too. Husbands and boyfriends who have driven their wives and girlfriends to get an abortion are very much affected. Remember, churches are houses of refuge, and they'll counsel these men and women. There is help. Y stands for the young kids. Planned Parenthood promotes abortion for the money. And secondly, it promotes sex education in our schools. It's their second greatest source of income is from sex education. And they're indoctrinating kids as young as kindergarten. And it's causing the kids to lose their innocence, and it's bringing confusion. Children are desensitized to sex. They learn about the names of the private body parts, and they call them out without any sensitivity, and they're not protected. They may engage in sex early in life and have long relationships as young as when their cycles begin. So crisis pregnancies are certain. Abortions not being an option suddenly are considered by parents. Again, watch the movie Unplanned, and you'll see a dad driving his daughter to Planned Parenthood. This is what happens when the girl hemorrhages. She nearly dies. The director wants to call, in the movie, the director wants to call 911, but the surgeon and the president of the center deny her that because they don't want any negative attention drawn to Planned Parenthood. But you'll see people outside in this movie praying and talking to the director as she goes in. So what is taught to the kids in school when you say comprehensive sex education? It teaches children how to obtain birth control. It talks about the morning after pill and how to get an abortion without parental consent. The kids can get an email and they can email and anyway, without parental consent. It equates vaginal sex with anal sex. It communicates acceptance of sex outside of marriage. It mandates comprehensive sexual education in middle and high school, but it can be taught in all grades. And it provides online links to sexually provocative websites like plannedparenthood.org/teen, sexect.org, and scarletteen.com. It subjects children to supplemental materials that such as It's Perfectly Normal, which is a graphic novel, and it illustrates nude males and females. So in closing, you are the people who are going to make a difference. Certainly, you've written some of these resources down, I hope, and if you haven't, rewind this YouTube or podcast and get that information. You can look for Love Life Ministry in your community and even recommend that your church partner with Love Life. A lot of churches are talking about being pro-life, but what are you doing? The heart starts beating at 2.5 weeks. When a mom sees her sonogram of the baby, she'll typically keep her baby. So what you can do is make some donations to the centers like Choices and Options, Love Life, to help them purchase these sonogram machines. If you want to learn more about how to save babies' lives, you can contact me. My number is 626-629-3024. Also, you can reach me on my website because Powerful Parenting is an affiliate to Step-by-Step Dyslexia Solutions. So you can reach me at dyslexia-solutions.com. And I want to leave you with this, that what you don't know may hurt you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your attentiveness. Would you please like this podcast on YouTube and save it and share it with someone? I hope to hear from you. Bye-bye now.